So, ma'am, let me introduce myself.
Yes.
So, my name is Akash, and I have a YouTube channel called Trying to Know Cinema.
Yes.
And I do podcasts with filmmakers, cinematographers, editors. And currently, I work as a web developer. I'm from Jalandhar, Punjab, but we are basically from Nepal. We speak Nepali at home.
Acha. Huh.
Never been to Nepal, but
I've been
someday.
to Nepal, but
Oh, okay, okay, great.
huh.
And I want to become a filmmaker. That's why I do podcasts.
Okay,
I,
wonderful, wonderful.
yes,
Thank you, Akash.
yes. So let's start. Ma'am, you have studied in NSD and you went to Moscow to
Yes,
study acting.
yes.
So, ma'am, when was the time you fell in love with theater and acting? Can you remember that?
So I first we had a school in which there was a lot of theatre. So we used to do, school level too. We used to do a lot of the performances and things. And then in 1975, 76, the very well-known director and actor and writer Badal Sarcar from Calcutta, he came to Delhi, and he had come with his plays called Bhoma and Mithil, Michil, the Jalous, and we did a workshop with him, and we were very deeply influenced by him. So we formed a group: Sudhir Mishra, Sudhanshu Mishra, Anil Mehta, Beena Paul. So a lot of these people were at that time, of course, not in film. So, but we all worked together for over 2.5 years. We had Manohar Kushlani and Susmita Mukherjee, all these people. And so we were very, at that time, idealistic, and chalo, we must like do something for the society, because Badalda was very political, and he would say, yeah, you must do work and think of the people of Sundarbans, and he used to tell us the stories, like, what, in what condition they live. So we were all young, 16, 17, 18 was our average age at that time. So we started doing theater there, already started doing theater. We used to take it to colleges and all. Then I did history honors in Lady Shrina, and then joined National School of Drama, and my guru was B.V. Karanth, who was the great practitioner of and traditional and folk theatre. And he taught us for 3 years. And then I went and specialized in direction, not in acting. I'm a direction specializer. Not an acting person. And then I was under what is called the Soviet regimen, which was, of course, a communist regimen at that time. That was in 82 to 88. It was just beginning to break up in 1986, 87. Gorbachev had come and it was breaking up. In fact, we had a lot of people from Nepal studying with us yeah, a lot of people. And we were studying in the Moscow University. And then I went to something called GITIS, GITIS, which is the State Institute of Theatrical Arts, which is one of the apex institutions of training in direction, acting, circus, music, acrobatics. So we had a whole lot of people studying together, meaning in the same institute. So that was my training. And then I came back and I've been doing, I went and taught for 5 years at the National School of Drama. So a lot of the major theatre directors and actors have been trained by me and my other two, three colleagues. I changed the syllabus, got a new syllabus, new way of looking at direction, and because it had become quite it had become into a certain framework, and so I tried to change some of the frameworks that were being taught. So in brief, that's the history. Yeah.
And ma'am, your parents were like encourage you for acting when you said you want to become an actor and
No,
learn
not
it.
acting, Akash. Direction. I'm a
Directional.
director. I'm not an actor. Yeah, I'm a director. That's important because that's my training. And but my parents were very, very progressive, very encouraging, and they said, you do whatever you want to do, and they supported me even when my relatives and people around said, ये क्या कर रही है, ये क्या नौटंकी लगा रखा है. उस जमाने में तो कोई, no one used to do theater. I mean, women in theater were not so many, like, and so my parents were very supportive, and my sister, they were very, but the other people, like around relatives and all, would of course make fun and say, kya hai ye, you don't need to go to Moscow for 6 years, what were you doing there, that type of taunting used to go on, but my parents were extremely supportive. Yeah. They love theater. We grew up on theater. That was our family. We hardly saw films. हम लोग उस जमाने में, Habib Sabi, Habib Tanveer, Alkazi, Ratan Tyab, all the great theater directors, we would be, watching them as we grew up.
And ma'am, then how the idea for घोड़े को जलेबी खिलाने ले जा रहे हो came है? And
अच्छा, घोड़े को जलेबी का क्या है कि my ancestors were from Kashmir. Ancestors, matlab 1870s. And so, like you never went to Nepal, I also never went back to Kashmir because we came down, right? And we became migrants and we settled in Delhi. So, my father's side settled in Old Delhi, and my mother's side settled in Lucknow. So there's a part of my family which is connected to it, had a home and all in Old Delhi. तो वहां से we used to hear a lot of this nostalgic, अरे पुरानी दिल्ली की गलियां, उसमें ये मिलता था, फिर वो मिलता था. So there was that part of me which I heard. And then as I grew up and we started doing some theater also in Old Delhi in some of the town halls, then I started working among poorer and underprivileged women and children. I used to do acupressure camps, and we used to, through the camps, we used to get to know the stories of people who are working there. Like we used to work with, scavengers or women who are doing painting, or women, who are painting the walls. So वो सब करते थे, and they used to come to us, they used to tell us their stories. So my interest started getting into, the labor force and the people who are the working force of Old Delhi. How do they live? What are their dreams? Because we just show people like, people who are poorer are also just shown as some mass mentality. So I felt कि हमें जानना चाहिए कि क्या हो रहा है उनके जहन में, what are the dreams that they have, what are the images inside them, what happens to their body when they're sort of lifting very very heavy weights. So वो सब चीजें एक सवाल थे. और ऑल्सो द थिंग इज ओल्ड दिल्ली हैज सो मेनी हिस्ट्रीज. मतलब वो ब्रिटिश हिस्ट्री भी चल रही है, मिडीवल हिस्ट्री भी है, प्राचीन काल भी है, एंड एकदम मॉडर्न लेबर माइग्रेशन, पीपल कमिंग इन लेबरिंग इन द सिटी. तो वो बड़ा फैसिनेट करता है in terms of heritage, in terms of the layering of the city. And so I felt that ये theater से नहीं दिखेगा. I felt कि ये सिर्फ फिल्म दिखा सकती है, लेंस पकड़ सकता है. Only the lens can bring out those contradictions, that there's a Mughal arch, behind that someone is a plastic bucket and he's having a bath, and there's a, electrical wires hanging. And I mean, it's like a crazy world of many, many, many layers, which I think only cinema can bring out. So I wanted to bring that out. Plus, I also wanted to show some of the things that I grew up with, which is all these memories and nostalgia and a romanticization of Shahjahanabad. So, ek taraf se there's a romanticization, ek term, there's a very real city there in which people are living under very hard labor conditions, very difficult working hours, disease, many, many things which I thought, which has also been part of my bringing up and studying in the Soviet Union. They always made us aware of respect and dignity of labor. तो वो चीजें भी बहुत ज्यादा थी. It was because it was a communist regime. There was a lot of, people only talk about the oppression of a communist regime, but no one talks के कितना मतलब सिखाते हैं कि आम लोगों से प्यार करना, that respect for people and how you should engage with that, even if you're doing theater, even if you're doing film. And so there was a lot of encouragement in that institute also, in that society.
Okay, okay. And ma'am, title, how the idea for title came, ma'am?
Title, my God, I think I've answered this so often, but the title came like this, that we one of my aunts had gone to the city and she used to learn music under one of the gurus. So she was trying to catch a tanga. I'm talking about the days jab tanga chalta tha. There were tangas there. And so she was trying to stop the tanga, and the tanga wala said, "Arey bibi, main घोड़े को जलेबी खिलाने ले जा रही हूँ. मेरे पास अभी वक्त नहीं है." So it's a very idiomatic thing कि भाई घोड़े को कौन जलेबी खिलाता है, घोड़े को जलेबी नसीब है कि नहीं. There are many questions in that. So um, I thought that was a very good title that she had told me this story when I was very young, like 18, 19 or 16, I can't remember, around that time. So it just stuck with me, and when I started writing the script, I said this is going to be the title.
Ma'am, It has a documentary, fiction, plus animations were there. So when you wrote the script, were everything was there, or did you improvise during the making or editing?
Um, the thing is, the process was like this, that I had written a fictional structure in which there were these four characters, there were intermixing of dreams, and people moving. There were these two walks. So all that structuring of the basic structure was written by me. But then when we came to the dreams, we said we cannot imagine people's dreams. We need to know what were the real dreams. So I wrote a questionnaire and I gave it to my colleagues. There was Sarita Sahi and Lokesh Jain, and I told them to ask those questions. And you see, you can't just go up to a person and say, "Ke, hello, bhai, aapko kya sapne aate hain?" They're not going to trust you. So it took them a year or two, and we got about 60, 70 people to answer these questions. And without a camera and anything, just people talking, so that they started trusting you. So once I got the answers and people started saying कि हमको ये डर लगता है, या हमको ये सपना आता है, या हम जब उठते हैं तो ये ख्याल आता है, this thought comes to me, then I started putting that as a documentary layering with the fictional layering. And so many of the, let's say, people like the Patru, many things that he is saying are not fictional dialogues. These are dialogues taken from the documented pickpockets. Like the pocket, it is a pickpocket who said कि मैं, आप आपके पास 1 करोड़ होगा, आप क्या करेंगे? He says, मैं फैला दूंगा, मैं ठिया लगवाऊंगा. This is the actual documented dialogue. It is not written by any of us. So and same, so we, in the mouth of the fictional character, we put many places, except for Akash Jain, in which Lokesh has written the full dialogues, and Chadammi, and but the rest of the dialogues are mostly through the documented material that we have. So so that gives it that thing of that, is it fictional, is it documented, is it fictional, is it document, this sort of feeling. And sometimes we've taken very real people. We have 350 very real people. Someone is staying in a slum area, someone is staying in a night shelter, someone is staying on the streets. So we've taken them too, and they have become our actors. And uh, when then we give
मैम
them.
जस्ट मैम आपका ना चेहरा नहीं आ रहा, थोड़ा सा
Oh,
और
oh,
कुछ
sorry.
पेपर पेपर
Sorry.
यस नो प्रॉब्लम कंटिन्यू.
So I'm saying, to that's the way we also, the fiction and the documentary got um a sort of, how do I say, got layered together. Uske baad, once we got the dreams, we said, they were very different dreams, as you can see. कोई कह रहा है कि मुझे अपने गांव की याद आ रही है, उसमें एक बहुत बड़ा खेत है, खेत के लास्ट में दो बच्चे रो रहे हैं. Now how do you, should we do this realistically? How do we do this? So there we dealt with it very realistically, in which he's sleeping on the cart, and then you start moving into the field, and at the bottom of the field you just see these two children crying. But there are dreams in which he's saying कि मैं उड़ती जा रही हूँ, मंदिर आ रहा है, नीचे सब लाशें पड़ी हैं. So then how do you deal with that? मैं उड़ती जा रही हूँ. So then Soumyanand Sahi, who is our absolutely wonderful cinematographer, Soumitra Ranade, who's our VFX and animation person, Archana Shastri is a painter and our production designer. So we all got together and we said, like, what is the way we can bring the truth of these dreams? So we decided that we will use several genres, like where we feel it's pure cinematic, a kind of a realism. We've dealt with that. Where we feel, for example, Urta Jana, then Somu suggested that let's just ur nahi rahi, but like she's just climbing up, and as she's climbing up, we understood that that male jo wo dekh rahi is actually, um, very often young people come and in the winter they don't get work and then they just die under the over bridges. So that male is also that male of death, of rats, biting. You've seen there's a visual there in which it's a documentary visual. It's a real person who just died under the bridge, under the flyover, and he was eaten by the rats. So sometimes we use this hyper real, like, documentary footage. Sometimes we've used folk paintings. like when she's saying भगवती माँ आती है मुझे सुला जाती है, and then वो आदमी मेरे ऊपर चढ़ता है और आग निकल रही, so then that we are using like calendar art. The Devi is like from a calendar art background, and he is like, it's a little towards, surrealism, like he's there, and his, it's sort of, this fire is coming out of his mouth, sort of like a sexual fire, and he's on her. So we've used very different, so the animation came after we got the dreams. We understood that we cannot use one method, and I don't want to use one method. I don't think this thing which we've inherited from, I think, a lot of the Western countries, that one style, one genre, one thing. Even in theater, I don't do that. I have always, much to the dismay of my, people who this thing it, like a lot of the seniors think "कि क्या हो रहा है, कुछ भी हो रहा है," and all that. But I'm like, life is multi-genre. It is not in one genre. You can have comedy, tragedy, and farce in 1 minute happening to you or happening to anyone. So why should we not have that also in the visual aspect of it, or in the structural aspect of the work that you are showing? That is how we do.
Ma'am, and how much time it took to make the like whole film?
From absolute beginning when I started writing it, to the absolute end, which is 2018 Mami, is when we premiered, is about 7 years. About 7 years.
That's a lot of time.
Lot
like
of time, because usko likha, then 2 years by the time we got all the documented interviews, they also took some time to get the replies. Then we did the shoot. Then during the shoot, the editing, Paresh Kamdar ji, the absolutely brilliant editor. So it took him almost 6 months to edit it, because there were so many materials and styles, and how do you put it all together. Then went to run a day for the VFX. That took 5 months. They all went mad, because it was not a material which was familiar for them, or they couldn't do. I did not let them do any Hollywood kind of thing. I said this has to be pure, like Indian in terms of its approach. Let it be a little crude, but let's work with our idioms and all that kind of thing. So वो सब चीजें थी उसमें. It's so that's why it took some time. Yeah.
And ma'am, when the first edit came, like, ever someone told you like it's not like a film, it's something else, it's something
Well,
new,
when
something.
we got the first edit came, that was quite a long one. It was like 3.5 hours. The original thing, then Paresh ji started cutting it down, and it came down to 2 hours and all. But the main doubt amongst all our team and friends was ki, bhai, the VFX is looking a bit like over the top. Is it going to go with, this kind of cinematic idiom? Everyone was very worried. Of course, some friends said no. In fact, we are really liking it. So, बहुत discussion हुआ, and we said, look, this is where we've come. अब acceptable है तो है, और नहीं है तो चलो नहीं है. It's something that we've tried, but somehow we've been quite lucky with the film, as in right from the day it premiered in Mami, it kind of started getting like houseful, houseful, houseful. Then we released it in 2022 to about 13 cities, 17 halls. And again, we got houseful in all the cities except for Bhopal and Indore. There we had a like 70% attendance. But Bombay, Delhi, Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Lucknow, Lucknow was also not houseful, but these other cities went completely houseful for 2 months, like 56 days we were in the halls. Yeah.
And ma'am, how big was the crew, ma'am? Like they were all there for 8 years with you? Yes, आप change करते
No,
हैं.
no, no. The crew, that is Soumyanand Sahi, Gautam Nair, who was our sound designer, they joined us during the shoot. So they joined us in 2015, and then we finished shooting in 2016. So it was like in three schedules, two big schedules, one small wrap up schedule. So they were with us then, and the costume designer Sneha Kumar, so she was there. But the actors were with us because they were rehearsing. Raghuveer Yadav, Ravindra Sahu, Lokesh Jain, and K. Gopalan. They were with us from 2014 because we would rehearse, we would sometimes take workshops, then we would take an interval. So they were with us for a much longer time. The technical crew was obviously there only during the shoot. And then of course this took a long time, getting the right person from the right from the streets, from the night shelters and all that. So that location, there was another gentleman who works with people in that area. So being going with them, going from place to place, talking to people, getting them to agree to work in the film, that took some time also.
And ma'am, if you can tell me the budget, if somebody wants to make a film like this, what will be the approximately budget?
This budget will it. I mean, if everything told, as in, from corner to corner, it is 2 crores. Corner to corner. Yeah, yeah.
And ma'am, currently it is screening somewhere. If I'm
Yeah,
fun-
please do use your platform to help us to tell people that we are on Apple TV, and we are on a very small Chennai platform called goodshow.com. And uh, a good show, we purposely kept the ticket very reasonable. It's just 59 rupees. You can buy and rent. And Apple, of course, is more expensive, being an American outfit. And if you can download it on the Apple app, basically. So that's something would be very nice if people would support it, because we have no producer. I did the film by loans and bank loans and friends helping, and putting in something that we had sold our house, putting in some of that money. I mean, this is the way it's been made, which is the advantage, is that we have no backing, and so there is no interference in the making. But the disadvantage, there's no one except us and our own team members to propagate the film. And but the good news is that even after the release today, we've had 15 screenings all over India. Yesterday, Hyderabad University, then Mr. Anant Rena, Whip Labs, they've had 3 screenings in Delhi, then Surat, the Tapi Utsav, then so all the young people, the students all over. Just then we had another screening in Delhi by I'm forgetting the name of the group. Anyway, they organize it. So a lot of young people are rallying around us, and helping us, and they're having screenings for their own group and circles, and young people, and having question and answers and things like that. The other thing I'd like to tell you, Akash, which is when we were releasing the film, because it was a people's film, I made a wallet with all my friends' money, and I said, कि भाई, everyone contribute 2,000 each, like my friends. And उससे हमने क्या किया कि we got in every city, we got whoever NGOs, like we had very wonderful people from TIS and Bilal Khan and Faizullah. There's some people who helped us, and in Dharvi also there was Vinod Shetty. So they sent almost like 50 people every day, either from the streets or from the slum area or from unorganized sector of labor. Or so, and in Ahmedabad also we got an NGO to help us. So everywhere, so we showed the film to over 5-6 thousand people who would never have entered a PVR or anything like that, and so we got a very ground opinion. See, because people like, अरे किसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा, क्या है ये film? It's very easy to run down people who are doing something different. And I'm saying this because you are a young person, and maybe some young people may listen to this. So I said, but we are going to try it on ground level. So when we released in Old Delhi. There's a film theater called Delight Cinema. तो हमने डिलाइट में किया एंड वसंत कुंज का पीवीआर में किया. So we had 2 places. So in Delight, all the people, as much as we could, I mean, I'm sure people are still not, haven't completely seen it, मगर जितने लोग आ सके, every day, street, vegetable vendors, loaders, some people from trade unions, people saw it, and they God gave their feedback. Sometimes they liked it, sometimes they did not quite understand it, sometimes they loved it. So ऐसा करके, and Bombay में we would travel uh, and go to the theaters and then talk to people कि कैसा लगा आपको, आपका इसका क्या मतलब निकला, क्या समझ में आया. Like we would ask them, so we got a very live feedback.
And ma'am, it's really a great film because we haven't seen their day-to-day life. It goes towards prostitution, or they become drug addict, or they go in mafia or something. We don't see their day-to-day life, which been shown here.
But we haven't shown that they are going to, I,
That's what I'm saying, ma'am. We
that's what.
have, we have, like that's a really different film, and it must have been
No, no,
something.
no. Matlab the whole idea. Did you see the film finally? Meaning, I'm saying that the idea is that we do not show the stereotypical attitude towards पुअर पीपल कि वो सब ड्रग एडिक्ट्स हैं या माफिया हैं. हाँ, कुछ जरूर हैं, ऐसा नहीं है, but majority in fact have managed to keep their dignified living despite very difficult conditions. So that is the main thing we're trying to show in the film, that in spite these difficult conditions, they are not either doing prostitution, they're living with a very honest and dignified attitude towards life. And I think our four main actors also, they tried to really enter the, spirit of each um, uh, kind of character that they were portraying, and they were also portraying it with very different acting styles, so that was also something we were trying to catch during the film.
And ma'am, there's a scene, ma'am, when they were like picking huge weights, and there's a muscles also. They
Yeah,
were, so, ma'am, you have said like it was done 20, 30 times. Is it true?
yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah, because I wanted to understand कि when you pick it up, what happens to every part of your body, because we just take it for granted कि वो तो बोरी उठा रहा है, but वो बोरी इतनी भारी है, it's such a heavy sack. How are you lifting it up? What is happening to every muscle of your body when you lift it up? What happens to your mind, your neck, your everything? So, but luckily because they came through people who we knew, they said नहीं आप करिए, हम आपके ऊपर यकीन करते हैं. So Somu actually shot it for over 2 days, कि आप बोरी उठाइए. Then we would say कि back में क्या हो रहा है, neck में क्या हो रहा है. Then we Sham Sundar Chatterjee, who also he did this. He's a VFX person, and he then slightly beefed up the muscle so that we get that impact of what happens. And there are many layerings of sound in it also. If you hear it, there is the sound of goats shrieking as if they're going to be slaughtered. There's the sound of the creaking of the of the cart. The sound the mother is singing "Aega babua aega lal kinole laiga." Like it's like this child was born to parents who loved him, who sang to him, and then he goes to this very merciless condition of labor, in which uh, where is the respect for all that he does with very poor wages. So this kind of layering of sound has also been done by Gotham, and me. Gotham has done very synchronic sound also in it all the time. No dubbing, nothing. So
And ma'am, there's also a scene when Raghuveer sir character is sleeping, and we see dead bodies floating.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's, ma'am, that's a really haunting scene, first of all. And ma'am, it's a great shot, first of all, because I was thinking it's straight from a Tarkovsky film.
Yeah, they will. I mean, we have to give a lot of credit to Somyan and Sahi.
Yes,
Brilliant
he has
cinematography.
done also worked in All That Breathes also.
He's done All That Breathes.
He's a
He's done
great.
several films. He's done Ebayu by Pratik Vats. He has done that. He's done quite a few. I think Nasir also. So he's quite about 6, 7 films which are today done really, really well. Yeah.
And ma'am, one more thing. There's when two ladies were picking garbage, and there was also another woman who was like, she was कुछ फेंक रही पानी फेंक रहे थे पता नहीं क्या फेंक रहे थे
Uh-huh.
तो मैम उनका भी आप स्टोरी बता रहे थे कि शी वाज
हाँ, वो हाँ, वो उसकी स्टोरी तो ये थी कि her name is Sapna, and when Lokesh and Chavi and all had gone for interviewing people, they found someone completely mad on the street, and she was taking urine and making a circle around her. saying कि आजा, you know, चुस ले, ये कर ले, आजा, because she had been raped several times. So she had gone mad after that. And she just said, "आ जाओ, कर लो, जो भी करना है, आओ." So she just kept repeating these words. So when we got this, image and this interview, then we were wondering, how do we show this? Because an actor, it's impossible to believe. How will they get into, we have to get someone very real. So then we went to this Hanuman Mandir side, and we were looking at the street people. So one lady came up, and the one who's actually acting. So she said, "आप क्या कर रहे हैं?" So we said, "कैसा?" He said, "अच्छा दिखाओ मुझे." So we read out the dialogues to her. कि आजा मुझे ये कहीं से, अरे ये तो मेरा रोज का किस्सा है, मेरे साथ भी ऐसा हुआ है, आई विल डू दिस. So then she did the role. I mean, unfortunately, she's no longer alive. She has died also. And but she did the role, and she said, "I'm doing it because I don't want that anyone else faces the kind of tragedy that we face every day as women and people living on the road." Yeah.
And ma'am, there's another scene when police came or something came. They are taking all the children, all the workers. When
This was to do with the time when the government suddenly decided कि सबको बवाना भेज दो, पूरे दिल्ली के लोग जो street लोग हैं. And ad hoc decision, they used to just pick up everyone, put them into the thing and leave them somewhere कहीं कि अब तुम जाओ, you. And then these guys, then like they were all, see, when you suddenly pick up someone, they are all working as domestic labor or labor somewhere. You just suddenly ad hoc decision, and you just pick them up and drop them somewhere कि हाँ अब तुम बवाना में रहोगे ना. Bavana is like many kilometers. I think it's about 45 kilometers from the place that they were staying in. So how do they get work? तो फिर वो लोग वापस आते थे कुछ डेली काम करके, फिर उनको उठा के फिर पटक दिया जाता था. So this whole thing of how you can just irresponsibly pick up people and displace them and put them anywhere because it just suits you, just suits the government to do that. That is the point that we were raising.
and ma'am, was it for real? It was happening, or it was like done by?
No, no, we created it. Yeah. We got the children. This is children of Jamghat, which is an NGO. And so they came, then I told them what to do, how to do it and all that. Then they did it. But they all, people, the kids are all actually from the streets. So what you're seeing is true, but how the situation had to be created. I mean, we had to enact it. Yeah.
And ma'am, can you please recommend few films, ma'am, which have inspired you, or filmmakers which have inspired you?
I'm not from the film scene. As you know, I'm a theater director. But I can tell you what are the films I grew up with, which I liked. Whether I don't think that I tried to copy any filmmaker because that was not my style. Even in theater, I want my own original voice. I don't try and copy and imitate anyone. But I have grown up seeing the films of Ritwik Ghatak, and we knew Ritwik Ghatak also. He used to come to our house. I was very small, but I remember him very clearly. Satyajit Ray, of course, because that was our time. Then the person who really made me stand up was Arvindan. I saw Esthapan, Arvindan from Kerala. And that like shook me up because I was like about 17 by then. And I was like, "Ye kya hai?" So interesting. I always found it very abstract and symbolic also. Then I saw, John Abraham's film much later. I saw his film. Then when I went to then my sister, I remember, had shown me this film called Kiss of the Spider Woman. It's a Brazilian political film, which again it's a gay, an activist and a gay are both in prison, and he shows very beautifully how much courage the gay who is meant to be apolitical, but he becomes even more courageous and brave than the activist in the end. So very beautifully shown. I found that one of my very moving films that I had seen. Then I had seen Manikau's films, Kumar Sahani's films. Kumar Sahani, I had seen Ye Khayal Gatha, and then Mani Kaul, I had seen Uski Roti, and Ye Aapka. I'm forgetting, there was one other film which I had seen of his, and not Naukar Ki Kami. The Idiot. The Idiot he had done also. Then in Moscow, I saw Parajanov, The Color of Pomegranate, which I loved. I saw Tarkovsky in the hall. It was not like something I saw that in Moscow in 1982 in the hall. I saw Andrei Rublev in the hall. I'm like, that changed my. I mean, this is my guru, bhai. वो theater में हो या film में हो, but like I really love him. He's like someone, and I read him when I'm. For me, I keep two books. Like one is Rumi, and one is Tarkovsky's Sculpting in Time. These are two books which help me to go through some very difficult times, because even Tarkovsky, he was creating, and not everyone understood him, and he faced so much criticism also. But the way he looked at humanity and life, and the poetic world that he talked about, I really, really, really love. So these are people who, I think, I really loved. And then in those days, FTII used to come and give us a film criticism course in NSD. So when we were third year, then Satish Bahadur and forgetting the other, there were two professors came, and they took a 1 month course. And so we saw everyone. We saw Godard, Buñuel, then we saw Fellini, then we saw all the greats, Ingmar Bergman, and so sub humko dikhayi thi films. And then again, when I said, after doing theatre, I said, if I want to make a film, I did a 8 month course here in Digital Academy in Bombay. So wahan bhi again, they showed us a lot of Iranian films. I really loved, I can't remember all the names, but I saw Kiarostami and Makmal Baf and his daughter, and I mean all there, the whole Iranian sort of thing, which again I absolutely loved very much. Georgian films, तो ऐसी सब का बहुत I feel के असर है.
Okay. And ma'am, are you currently writing any another film? Are you
I'm
working?
definitely not writing a film, but I have written my next script, which is going to be a play. I mean, I'll go back to theater because I don't have either the funds or the energy to, do it unless I get someone who's really backing me. And I can't do this journey again. It's been very tiring. Even now, I mean, like we are still paying back loans. And I haven't retrieved all the money that we spent and all that. So it's very difficult. And thanks to, of course, and that time also only Shiladitya Bora from Platoon, he was ready to release the film. Otherwise, no one wanted to even release a film like this. कि ये क्या है, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, what's happening. But he was good enough to, and so I want to say a word of thanks to him also. So I'm definitely writing. I've already written my script, and I even have another script for a film, but I don't know if that will ever get made because I frankly speaking, this was like I took a risk once. I don't have those means again. So yeah.
Ma'am, now you have made a film. If somebody wants to become a filmmaker or something like that, what advice would you give, ma'am?
See, I really don't know. My thing is, I don't know about a filmmaker or a theater maker. All I say to you is, um, I have stuck to this idiom, to this wisdom that whatever you want to do, be very real and truthful to yourself. Because what I see people say, "Arey, why you're always so uncompromising? You don't do any, why don't you do some, semi commercial kind of thing?" I said, I'm not interested because for me, I feel a greater truth or an art which is deeper is meaningful for me. And I want to say this, so I want to say this. And I want to say it like this, so I'll say it like this. And it just happened to be that I had a house which I could give to a developer, and I got some money and I put that in. Normally, you won't get that. So that's how I got some money to make the film. Otherwise, I also didn't have any money. So if it's a younger person and he's saying कि भाई पैसे नहीं है, I'll tell that person कि भाई make a short film, make a film with your iPhone, make a film anyhow. You don't have to wait for this big there are people, I mean, we met someone in the IFFK, where we were given the best debut directioner award. So he had made his whole film on his phone, and then he had sort of enlarged it and made it into a feature film and all that. So my advice is, if you really want to say something, you will say it. And you should not wait for this big feature film and all. You should just make it anyhow. People have done things like taking negatives from old reels and put them together, and they've made their film. If you have something to say, you will say it. And the other thing is, I would definitely tell them that I have not rested for 8 years. And mind you, I am 64. I have a knee problem, I have a handicap. But there's some many FTI people, they make the film, then it doesn't go anywhere, let's say two things, then they just sit. If you think your film is good and you are a young person, there is no reason why you can't take it to colleges, to community centers. You can't, engage with it. Just get a projector, get 3 4 of you together, pool in. Nowadays you get fantastic projectors for some 20,000 bucks. Show your film to people. Don't get depressed because your film has not either got a sense. We've been given an A for no reason. The film is not an A film, but we were given it purposely by the censor board, so that I will have a problem getting it into television or getting it. So if we face so many problems, but every problem one has stood and fought and fought and fought. Okay, you've given us an A, let's see. So, but the film has been seen. It's been seen by the whole country. It is still being seen. It's 5 years. The film has not stopped being viewed. Not apart from the value of the film, but the fact that I have not, however difficult it's been, we have, not stopped showing the film wherever, you know. So that's another thing I would say. So, and also you should learn whatever you can, because when I was learning in digital, I was 52 and all the kids learning with me were 22. So I was everyone's great grandmother. But the advantage was that because of the theater training, I had the advantage of knowing what is direction, how do you handle actors, what is composition, lighting, what is, I have been trained for many years in soundscapes. They were trained technically. I was terrible technically. I'm still very bad technically. But these things, what to study life, to go and explore the country, to know people, to understand what is art and composition and and soundtracks and space and languages and poetry. All these things have to be studied to understand cinematic direction or theatrical direction. You need to work on it, unless you want to do Bollywood films and commercial films, which may not have that kind of high aesthetics, which at least some of us as independent filmmakers have tried to do. Tried, we are trying, right? I'm not saying we are always, but some people are trying in that direction. So my thing is, so that it's a fight, and they should not like think, oh my god, I'll never ever get the money. And you won't get it. Make it with what you have. Today, the kind of digital technology available, you can actually do so many exciting things. And you can show it. You have OTT platforms. You can invite people to a community center and show it. There are ways. I mean, you shouldn't give up, especially to those who are really have, way out ideas and are very creative with their mind. And the study, that thing of vigorous training is there in every minute of your life. So architecture, art, painting, music, traditions, all that language of color, all that has to be an ongoing study as you live life. You know.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining.
Thank
It's
you, Akash.
it's